Well, I do hope you guys have played Roblox sometime in the last week or so, because I myself have recently played and I noticed something very different within the games. And if you also played, then you will have absolutely seen it, this new update that we are looking at today. However, if you somehow haven't noticed or you just haven't played Roblox in a short while, then, well, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But the one little bit of information you do have right now obviously came from the title of this video. Look, I know we've done this whole new playlist thing before, but I swear this time the playlist does look so much better. And so if you are excited to see what this new update looks like, then please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because I do really appreciate it. Roblox Actually Listen to Us playlist. That video is exactly what I meant when I said that we've been through this before. Basically, let's go through everything really quickly. Back in December, Roblox decided it was time to impulsively create and release a new playlist, all without telling a single soul that they would be doing so. Let's just say this, long story short, everyone absolutely hated it. Just in general, it didn't look very appealing in the slightest. I think the main thing that people got upset at was the fact that it was just way too wide, long, and just overall way too big. But even if we were to disregard the fact that it really didn't look that good, there were still a couple of other reasons it was highly disapproved by the Roblox community. If I remember correctly, I was sleeping when it was previously released, so obviously I didn't actually get to see it for myself. But from what everyone else was saying, it seems that it was mainly the size of this playlist that caused all of these issues. First of all, for people who had smaller monitors or for those playing on mobile or tablet, the playlist literally took up the majority of their screen, which is just really not ideal if we're being completely honest. Like, imagine trying to play a game but the leaderboard has taken away most of your vision within said game. And the second thing that was an apparent problem came straight from the developers of Roblox. Once again, because it was so big, it ended up overlapping UI that already existed in various different games on Roblox. See, if I'm not mistaken, UI is basically all that cool stuff you see on your screen in game, like buttons and things like that. So with this now massive playlist getting in the way of things like buttons in games, you can probably see why that was a little bit of a problem. But literally we can just forget about all of that, because the new playlist that caused all of that chaos got removed less than 24 hours later. Yes, that's right, so many people disliked the playlist update in December that it got removed quite literally the very next day, which, you know, explains the title of Roblox Actually Listen to Us. But from there, nothing else was ever really said about it. In summary, Roblox released a new playlist with no prior warning. It was kinda ugly and it ruined a bunch of games. People got angry, and as a result, Roblox removed it a day later. And then boom, silence fell upon the fantasy of Roblox actually telling their players what is going on once again. Until just 10 days ago, when a post was created on the 17th of January with a simple title of Playlist Updates. And even just the first sentence alone in this post makes me very happy. We have been hard at work addressing your comments and concerns about the new playlist and want to show you the solutions we came up with before we release this again. If you haven't quite caught on just yet, this dev forum post was obviously uploaded sometime before this update was released, which completely contradicts and goes against pretty much everything I said just a few minutes ago. The first time this update occurred, back in December, Roblox told absolutely no one, and it ended up being so bad that they had to remove it in less than a day. However, this time they not only informed everyone that this was going to happen, but this time they also made sure to read through the thoughts and feedback of the players to check that everyone approves of this update before it goes live. Like I say, complete contradiction of what happened the first time, but I am so glad that I was proved wrong. We have changed the offset from the top and side of the screen to be much smaller based on your feedback. Previously this was 24 pixels, and in the updated version we have decreased it to 4 pixels. So I forgot to mention this, but last time the size wasn't the only problem, but there was also something else wrong, and this was probably the biggest issue to me personally. The playlist pretty much just stuck out and floated so far away from the edges of the screen, so it left like these huge gaps that just made it look awful, and nobody wants to see that. But just from reading that, it looks like they decreased the gap by an entire 20 pixels. pixels, which might not sound like a lot, but when you realize it went from 24 pixels to 4 pixels, that is definitely a lot. We updated the size of the leaderboard to match the old size of the leaderboard in the horizontal direction. Here are some images with both the old leaderboard and the new leaderboard for size comparisons. Going against yet another thing that I mentioned from the last disaster of an update, we have the sizing correction, thank God. The last playlist update was way too big in so many different ways, and it just caused more bad problems than it did anything good. And I mean, looking at the comparison pictures they attached, you can see an immense difference between the two. Even though you can tell this is a fairly large monitor and obviously a computer device, a pretty large portion of the screen is still taken away by this playlist. So this is absolutely an incredible improvement. On games with a smaller number of max players, brackets 6 to 12, where you have designed your UI with a certain pixel leaderboard height in mind, we have updated the leaderboard to clamp at the max height of the old leaderboard. So in a game with 8 players and no teams, the old leaderboard would have not taken up more than 208 pixels, so the new leaderboard will not take up more space than that. I think what this is trying to get across is that this new playlist will never go over the size that our old playlist did. They mentioned that the previous one would never go above 208 pixels, and so that is now the same situation with this new one. In simpler terms, size will no longer be an issue with the new leaderboard. In the new version of the playlist, we automatically resize the leaderboard's max size based on the size of the window that the game is running in. This means if you resize the window, the playlist height will adjust to be no more than 50% of the window height. Yet another insane improvement to be seen from this update. Personally, never changed the size of my game window, but for anyone that does that, you won't have a ridiculously large playlist blocking your screen anymore. Hey, it's the little things that make a big difference. But yeah, that's it really. Like I said, if you've played Roblox recently, you will have seen the new playlist has already been released, which can only mean that the feedback they got for it was all positive, and rightly so. I do think they improved it massively since the last version of it, and they did a great job with informing players and receiving feedback before they released it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this new playlist. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.